Hello and welcome to Kyou no Anime. This is a filler episode. We're going to talk about random stuff in this episode. Andrew, how you feeling tonight?
Oh, I'm feeling great, Matt. How you doing?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm ready to kick off this episode. We were just talking about owning a firehouse, and
Uh,
I'm like infinitely excited about that now
it's
because
a dream. I
it
mean,
would truly be incredible.
think Ghostbusters, but then utilizing the space for, let's say, our podcast or any other kind of business venture that you'd like to have. You have the space to now accommodate it because it's almost like a warehouse.
I kind of just want to live in there at that point.
I mean, yeah, the bathroom space, the square footage, multi levels, the fire pole.
Like I'd have my bedroom upstairs. I'd be able to slide down that fire pole every morning.
And you better believe it'll be up to fire code.
Believe it.
Boom.
Naruto would be proud.
Oh, geez. Yep.
But it reminds me of like the old, like all the old abandoned homes in Japan.
Oh, yeah.
And like there's a bunch of programs where you could buy abandoned places.
Yeah. I think they're called like an akiya or something like that.
Yeah, there's a couple different ones. There's akiya, and then there's like another version of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where it's like you can get them for almost nothing. Like you just pay the taxes on them and everything.
Not gonna lie, I was looking at that a lot.
Oh, so have I.
Just because, like, even if it's not the most perfect place.
No, but the downside of that is that it needs to be your resident for I think it's 3 years. So something to like you'd really have to consider because like then you have to make that move and you have to be there for 3 years. So you're gonna need to renew your visa and everything like that.
Yeah, and just because we were to buy it, there's the whole thing of, since you're not a citizen, owning the home still won't make you a citizen. Don't think that will, because it won't. That's just the policy in there.
My whole thing about that is that I don't think I'll ever get my Japanese citizenship, regardless. Like even if I were to move there for 5 years, because you have to denounce all of your other citizenship.
Yeah, no, it doesn't really work out. They don't have a hybrid, I don't believe.
No, that's how it works. In order to be a Japanese citizen, you have to denounce all of the citizenship. So, like, I'm not willing to do that with my American citizenship personally.
No,
because I'm not willing. I'm not willing to lose the things that being an American citizen grants me.
That's fair. No, that's 100% fair. I would love to be able to own a home there and it not be like a huge kerfuffle.
Oh, 100%, but that's literally just buying a house at that point.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
which you could do as long as you have the money for it. That's not an issue for foreigners. You can buy houses, and it's not going to be a problem as long as you have the money for it. That's a fact. The issue with that a lot of foreigners have moving to Japan, to my understanding, is the whole like difficulty getting an apartment and everything like that. But that comes from the stereotyping around foreigners in Japan. Like they're not going to follow the local customs. They're not going to be as clean. They're not going to know how to recycle properly and everything like that.
I mean, yeah, that is a lot to learn as a foreigner, but it is learnable.
Well, it's also obviously there's also the language barrier and stuff like that. If you don't know Japanese, it's going to be much harder for you to live there. Much harder to get a location to live as well, because you're not going to be able to communicate with your landlord, and they're going to have a problem with that. So there's a lot that goes into that. But buying a house, you're all good. Nobody's going to give you any trouble about it, and you don't need to have a citizenship to own a house in Japan either. You can totally buy a home as a vacation home or anything like that. And like as an American going to Japan, I believe it's 3 months that you can stay there without any visas.
I thought it was you could only stay for a month as a U.S. citizen, but
I could be mistaken.
I think it's longer for like European citizens and like in other countries, but that is just something you'd have to look into if you were ever interested in staying there for an amount of time. But you could always, of course, stay there for longer if you're going to school there. If you're
for sure. Well, but that's where visas come in, and that's you'd get a visa off. I have a school that I'm attending, obviously.
Yeah, I did actually a lot of like research of like how could I move there? How could I do this? How could I
did the same thing. That was a big part of my plan. I was actually gonna move there as a dog trainer.
Yeah, no, Emily was looking into that too.
And well, because you can do that. Like that's literally on the list of viable work visas.
Yeah, I think it's like under skilled trade kind of.
Yeah.
And like I know I could with my background in schooling. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely could. I just would want to be more like in that field because I just started in being in this field. So,
Oh, for sure.
you know,
I mean, it's the same thing for me with going there and everything like that, being like, oh, maybe I could teach English. For one, you need a degree. It doesn't matter what degree you have; you just need a degree to teach English there. As well, you don't really make much money at all, teaching English.
yeah, no, I mean, same here, but
Well, it's one of those things where it's like, you'll get enough to get by and go out on weekends. But I'm not really comfortable with that personally.
I don't know how this is structured per se. But I also was like seeing something that if you're a foreigner and a teacher, not just a foreigner in the country, you will probably have to work at a bunch of different schools within like a prefecture.
Well, to my understanding of it is depending on the agency that you go with, they'll send you to pretty much wherever. It may be based on certain prefectures and stuff, but I think it's mainly based on like, oh, this is the area that you're gonna be in, for this semester, and then the staff there can ask you to continue teaching, so you can kind of extend that, as long as you do your job well there.
Yeah, and people like you and you stay on, if you want to. Wait, I mean, this is all stuff you can look up. We don't have all those answers
for sure, but I mean, it's just that's just my experience with it and being like, oh,
I went down a rabbit hole on this for a few months. I was nearing 30, and I was I really, really just want to move there for even if it's only like 2-3 months.
Yeah, well, I was like, I want to move there for like the next 2 years or so.
Yeah, I was like 2 to 5 years,
and
everybody was like, you just want to dip and leave everybody. I'm like, kinda, like, not that I hate everybody, but it's just like, I want that culture shock. I want to do something cool like that.
For me, it was the whole like getting out of my comfort zone entirely.
Same.
And I was like, let me go somewhere where I'm literally the farthest away I possibly can be from everything back home. So it was one of those things for me where it's like, even just visiting Japan is like such an eye-opening experience with like, I hate clutter. Like, Andrew, look at my room. I hate this so much.
Yeah, and I do too. And the thing is that sometimes I have to physically switch like this thing off in my brain so that it doesn't irk me. But like, give it a week, and then I'm like stomping around like, fuck this, fuck that, and start throwing things, and I'm just like trashing stuff that shouldn't be trashed, but it's just been getting to me.
Yeah, I'm with that though.
And like, if I were to live there, I would have to really adjust everything, and I have to probably take it upon myself to be more minimalist.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I would have so much less than I do now had I made that move.
Oh yeah,
and stuff like that. But
almost none of my stuff would be coming with.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? And it's like, do you really want to take the extra money that you're earning and send it back home for a storage unit where when you come back, your stuff might not even be there?
Yeah, I mean, like, right now in my life, I have ways to just like have some of the things that I would need.
Yeah, personally, I would have needed to get rid of most of my stuff.
Yeah,
and that would have been fine at the time, but I was gearing up to move. I had another like 2 months before I made the move. I started calling people to look for apartments and stuff like that, and then COVID happened, and the whole country shut down.
Yeah, no one was going in, no one was coming out,
and from there, plans had to change.
Yeah, and that was crazy that whole time. We don't got to get into it too much, but the foreigners that were away that couldn't come home to even be with family during that time, because they wouldn't have been allowed back. And
that happened to a lot of people.
Yeah, they were essentially stuck there.
Yeah, a lot of people were displaced for quite a while, but thankfully that's behind us now.
Yeah, no, that like, and I still feel this way
Alright,
that
I gotta do a thing really quick. Sorry, keep going.
yeah, I still feel that I can maybe one day go and live there for a certain amount of time. I know my school allows me to reach out to them to help me find job placements, and they have stated that they have had luck placing people overseas in countries like Japan, in Europe. So I'm like, it doesn't necessarily have to be Japan. I would just love that any portion of my life isn't spent within the United States just to get the feeling for it. And it would be such a uniquely awesome experience to do that, work, live, exist somewhere other than here.
I think that's something that a lot of foreign people do because it's like you have to think about how big like America actually is and like how vast the like difference in just like American culture is between like the east, the you have the Midwest, you have down south, you have up north, you have there's a lot of different stuff. And like I know people from Japan that have worked in Korea and Taiwan and and lived in those places for a couple of years working and eventually making their way back home and everything like that. But just having that closeness, I think, makes such a big difference.
Yeah,
Because like there's not many
the distance
things.
for us, wild.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like we have basically what would be the equivalent of Japan to Korea within Texas.
Yeah,
Within Carolina, you could say, from North to South Carolina.
take about an hour and a half flight, be there.
Right, but it's same thing could be said for Japan to Korea. It's only a couple hours.
Yeah, and then like you were to fly from New York to
So I feel like I just feel like
Florida,
it's
yeah,
I just
it's
feel like
3
it's
hours.
I just feel like it's easier in those contexts to say, okay, well, it's easier to go to kind of country hop a little bit. And also I think the European countries are a little bit more open to that. Like to emigration in general.
Oh yeah, I mean, it definitely seems that way because I don't know. I haven't looked at this, so I don't know how strict it is. You can always correct us if you are from a European country and listening to this.
Oh yeah, for sure. Let us know.
That would be awesome to
I'm
actually
super
hear.
interested.
But it seems because of how openly they have it kind of shared vis-a-vis like trains and buses and public transit in general. It's so easy to go from one country to the next, and obviously, you may not live over there, but you could hop on a 2-3 trains, buses, whatever, be there within 3 hours.
Yeah, I would say public transportation is definitely better majority wise outside the US.
Yeah, I mean, when I think public transit, I can't help but think New York public transit, and that is
It's a nightmare.
scary nonsense.
It's such a nightmare. My God, the amount of times the weirdest stuff has happened to me on trains out here,
Oh yeah,
and
same.
like going back and forth to New York City is just it's insane. I mean,
Usually
the kind of stuff that you see you would not expect.
The rule of thumb is mind your business, but sometimes there's people that don't, and it's really uncomfortable.
There's plenty that don't, and there's plenty of people that will get in your business for no reason.
Yeah, you're just existing and you're a body in like a manic freak out moment. You're just there.
I remember once I was on a 4 a.m. train, and this girl and guy got on,
Also known as the drunk train.
and I was going to work. So we're the like 9 other people in the train car with me.
That's
Right,
fair.
we were all going to work. We had to be, wherever we had to be at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's an hour and a half train ride. And these 2 people get on, and mind you, it's about 4:15 in the morning, and this person just starts playing videos on their phone at full volume. It's an hour and a half train. Everyone on this train car is trying to sleep.
Yeah, they're trying to catch that snooze for like that hour.
Yeah, well, it makes a really big difference when you gotta be up at 3 o'clock in the morning to catch a train, and you didn't get home until 6, 7 o'clock the night before. And it makes a really big difference when you could take that little nap on that train. When you get to work, you're not feeling so bad.
Yeah, you're kind of like got that boost, that extra little kick in the pants that you needed to keep going.
Yeah, so someone politely turns to them and asks to lower their volume. Was like, I'm not even asking you to turn it off. Just please lower the volume. Like, it's early in the morning. People are trying to sleep. Like, nobody wants to hear that. And they just start flipping out. Like, yelling at the person and stuff like that. And everyone else is like, what is going on?
Like, why are you bugging?
Like, what? Like, how much cocaine did you do to get yourself in a position where you have this much energy at 4 o'clock in the morning? Not to mention, would randomly freak out on someone for asking something very reasonable.
Yeah, being like, hey, man, it's pretty quiet and everyone notices this video blasting.
Well, so in technicality,
Just,
so
like, chill.
in New York, they have something called quiet cars. And those cars from a certain time in the morning to a certain time in the later morning are quiet cars, which means like you're not supposed to be talking to people
do anything loud.
Yeah, you're just supposed to be quiet. I mean, like every train in Japan. And so, the ticketing person comes by and they're like, I could play my video, right? And they're like, no, like with headphones, yeah. And like, they're like, why? It's like, because it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Nobody wants to hear that.
Absolute legend. Absolute legend.
They finally got off at the next stop and everything like that. And they're like, you're lucky I gotta go to work. And I'm sitting there like, most of these guys are iron workers. You're lucky they gotta go to work. Like they would break you with their pinky. Like
Oh God, yeah, and this is why I think I've wanted such a crazy new cultural shock where that like I would love to be able to just public transit my way to work. And like that's just one thing that would be completely different. So like I have to drive
I mean
20, 30 minutes
something
away.
else in regards to that, like the Japanese infrastructure on public transport is incredible. I mean they did a lot of work on that the past 15 years. And they made it so ridiculously accessible. Like, trains apologize for being a minute late. Like, the conductors will apologize for it.
Yeah, and you can get, like, notes to your job for tardiness on their behalf.
And whereas you have, like, the New York train system, where it's like, if they're not 5 minutes late, something's going wrong. Like, if a train is early, there's a problem.
It's just a train derailed today. You're going to have to do a transfer 3-4 times to get to your destination.
So I once was on a train that had hit a pedestrian. They didn't let anyone off the train for 4 hours.
Were you at a station?
No.
That would be why.
Oh, I know why.
And also live rails and shit.
4 hours.
Yep.
They had to bring another train, and then they put planks across for everyone to walk.
Did the train derail?
No, but it hit a pedestrian. The train, it killed someone.
Yeah, I figured.
But apparently
it's not a laughing matter.
No, not at
Sorry,
all. But
guys.
Apparently, it's okay to have nervous laughter, right? We're understanding here.
It's also a thing that happens in NYC a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. But the whole thing about that, what I was gonna say is that apparently the train had kept going for 20 minutes.
Like it just continued.
Yeah.
They could have stopped at any place and just said, "Hey, everyone's got to get off."
Right.
No.
There was like 3 stops in between.
Thank God there's bathrooms that are gross on them, but geez.
Like what happened there that somebody thought, nah, it's fine. Anyway, that's the difference in the public transit systems.
Yeah, so like that would be such a welcome change to have something
not to
much
mention
easier.
Not to mention trains are also within like 5, like I think the longest distance apart, like if you're in Tokyo or something like that, is like 10 minutes. So it's like really
like even if it was 30, I'd be fine.
Well, that's what you get, in the city and stuff like that, you get like, okay, well, you can take the next train that's going to be in 30 minutes, but now you have to take a transfer. So you need to stop at another station and get off and get on a different train, which might not wait for you.
Oh, yeah. No, they typically don't. So you're stuck waiting another 10, 30 minutes.
Well, that's the whole
next
thing. You're
train
stuck
comes
waiting
through.
now another 30 minutes, period.
Yep. No, it's not seamless. There's no
There's
real
not
easy
there's
transfers
not
there.
going to be another train in 10 minutes. That's the whole thing. It's not like that. You don't have trains every 5 minutes like there is in Tokyo. Where you're going to just say, "Oh, we missed this train. No problem. We'll hop on the next one."
Yeah, no, it's just how it is here, and it's awful. Which is why I try to opt out of like taking it as much as I can, but it's now going to be easier just to hop on the train to go to the city instead of driving in.
All right, well, really quick, right before we hop onto our main topic, I'm going to do something that I'm going to have to cut out, but it does need to happen so that everyone listening to this podcast right now does not have to hear, what's the term I'm looking for? Feline?
Yeah.
Nobody has to hear a cat meowing for the next half an hour. It's semi-infuriating. I love the cat, but Jesus, it really needs to stop doing this. All right, be right back.
You bit. Hey, you bit.
All right, well, Andrew, now that we're back, what's our main topic that we were planning on before we got into the whole like discussion about public transportation and owning homes in Japan?
Well, it depends. Was that going to be the topic that I texted you about today, or was it going to be the one I told you upon arrival?
Ooh, I feel like our main topic should be what you texted me earlier because I feel like we're a little bit better prepared for that.
Okay. So this idea, it stems from something I overheard of a wrestling pod.
What was the pod?
I believe it's Stone Cold Flaming Skull podcast.
Stone Cold Flaming Skull.
Yeah, well, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
That is a name.
I think it's just called the Flaming Skull, Smoking Skull podcast, something like that.
Okay.
He asked,
always good to let people know where stuff came from.
Yeah, so he asked The Undertaker if he were to create a Mount Rushmore of the most influential wrestlers, who would it be? And I thought that would be cool for us to talk about maybe the most influential anime and the most influential anime characters that we would put on a Mount Rushmore.
So my mind immediately went to anime characters. Let me pull up my notes here really quick because I am extremely intelligent and I love to put them away.
I had to deliberate on this for a while because I could have branched this into so many topics of genre specific, overall just influence, overall just like awesome favorites. It's hard to really keep it into one.
Yeah.
But I was like the most influential that I think that is where I'm coming at.
All right, well, let me like as soon as you told it to me, I was like, all right, off the top of my head, who would I put up there? And I was like, Naruto.
Okay.
Obviously from Naruto Shippuden and all that.
I wouldn't have known that. I thought it was from Boruto, honestly.
Yeah, sure. I mean, at that point, he is Hokage, right? He's already on a Mount Rushmore of anime.
I mean, so literally, yeah.
I guess it's kind of a little bit of a cop out.
I mean, that's kind of funny though.
Spike from Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, that is super fair. He almost made my list.
Right, I feel like he's kind of close to a TDR.
He was actually gonna be on my list.
Luffy from
No,
One
that's
Piece.
totally fair.
And the one that made the least amount of sense, but actually rolls into the other topic that hopefully we'll get to on this episode. Light Yagami from Death Note.
He is on my list as
He's
well.
on your list. I was like, it makes no sense if I'm thinking about it as the like national icon that it's meant to be. Of like, let me relate it to the people that are actually up there. But like, he would be on there for the Mount Rushmore for me because that's an anime that I recommend to so many people who are like, oh, I don't like anime.
It is a staple. It is one of those ones that you can go back, rewatch, enjoy. That is also one you'd recommend to people to start branching out on things that they're watching.
I mean, same thing with Cowboy Bebop. I mean, that's just, it's so influential for me. And like, I know Theodore Roosevelt was such a badass.
It's literally like a perfect show to watch. It is. It's such a contained show too. It's not very long.
The only thing that I didn't like about Cowboy Bebop that missed for me, bearing in mind that I love the show, it is one of all my all-time top anime. They didn't give me enough of an opportunity to explore the characters. They made me they made me love them in such a short amount of time, which is something that's incredible for any show to do. But I didn't really get to know as much about them as I would have liked to.
I mean, yeah, but also, this is kind of what I say when it's such like a contained show because they make you care.
It's very concise.
Yeah, they make you care. They give you a certain amount of time to get attached, but they don't overstay their welcome by continuing this story and this narrative and gunking it up, making it slow in some parts.
It is very straightforward, and the plot is always moving, which is the reason, probably one of the main reasons why I like the show so much.
It's one of those reasons why I think that kind of show is always going to be more what I recommend than like a long-running shonen.
Well, I mean, Naruto was up there for me because
it's Naruto.
It's Naruto. It's always been a part of my anime repertoire, like ever since I started watching anime on like late night Toonami when I was like 6, and I shouldn't have been up, having that tube television in my room. I'm dating myself, but I had that. So.
Yeah. So I have my top 4. One of them is kind of a cop out, and I'll let you know.
Well, let's go through yours, and then and then we'll get into what like my actual one is for like relating them to the presidents.
Oh yeah, I didn't do that in my head. So
fantastic. We have very different lists.
So we're gonna let you do that, and then I guess I will have to figure that out after.
Well, what's your list here?
So at first I have Usagi Tsukino, aka Sailor Moon, as up there. The reasoning is Sailor Moon is such an iconic show, and she is one of the only female leads in a long-running show like this that can go toe-to-toe with a lot of these big names. And whether you've seen it or not, you know what Sailor Moon is. It's so influential. You just gotta. You can't take it away from her.
It's fair. It's such an old show that's gotten so many people into anime that I can't even. The amount of women that I know that got into anime because of Sailor Moon is astronomical.
It's influential from like you could say like a gender base, where this was some women's first introduction to anime, and this is a predominantly male-dominated main character, main protagonist, like whole world, where this was one of the original female leads, and it is one of the most badass people to ever exist in anime.
Yeah, it also always made me think of the like connection between like that and Inuyasha.
Yeah,
because that was always big for me, but I wouldn't put Inuyasha on a Mount Rushmore.
No, I would put Inuyasha in like one of my favorite shonen type lists.
See, I don't feel like
not technically. I mean, it's kind of a shonen.
Like that's the whole thing, right? It's like it's a weird in between show of like it's really a romance.
So I'm forgetting the terminology for it exactly. But there is like a version of this where it's supposed to be long serialized, geared towards women, like show because of the story, the romance aspect, and that love interest. I have to look it up. We could put it in maybe at the end of the episode if we figure out what that terminology is.
Yeah, maybe I'll edit it in as a quick aside.
There's a bunch of subgenres. But yeah, no, he wouldn't make it into that kind of listing for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Such a great show, and I love it.
But it makes me think of the female lead in Inuyasha, and I always for some reason related her to a Sailor Moon type.
Yeah, no, that's 100% fair. Kagome is a badass.
100%. I mean, who else shoots that bow so good?
I mean, just she is annoying, but she's also a teenager, so
fair.
We can get over.
So is Sailor Moon, though.
Yes, exactly. But
even though isn't she like a celestial being?
She's like a god, almost. Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on. What's next?
Number 2 is Goku.
Goku
had to be said in the same sentence. Goku is so influential. Love it or hate it, you can't say that Goku didn't pave the way towards a lot of different shonen.
That's super fair.
And, as is still to this day, people get, really excited whenever Goku does another power up, another level up in the new series.
Yeah, well, you got to get to
wonderful.
Super Saiyan 17, otherwise.
I'll go see every single movie. I'll play every single video game. I love that franchise as is. It's just, you have to mention it.
There were definitely things that I didn't like about Dragon Ball Z.
And no, they're completely valid too.
But at the same time, I was still one of those people that went back and watched Dragon Ball.
That's fair, yeah. No, Dragon Ball is wonderful.
It's because I enjoyed Dragon Ball Z so much as a kid.
But if you think about how long it's been around, that's why it's on this list.
100%. It totally makes sense to me. If the presidents were immortal, then one of them, like I feel like Goku would be on there. It does make a lot of sense. Now that I'm looking at My Hero Academia tapestry on my wall, I'm thinking of All Might.
And I mean, like, we could make so many variations of this list where so many other characters could get their time to shine. But I'm talking about, like, things that have paved the way.
Oh, you know what? Let us know if you'd like to see this based on a specific anime. Because I would love to
I would do that.
I would love to do a Mount Rushmore of a specific show,
like Demon Slayer. Check out our pod.
Absolutely, Demon Slayer. check out our first couple episodes. We're going through that right now. But like My Hero Academia, we could do it with. We could do it with Dragon Ball Z, Inuyasha. Like there's so many like shows with iconic characters that we could really pick that apart and have fun with that. I'd like that.
Yeah, that would actually make crazy fun filler episodes.
I feel like this might be a further segment in filler episodes.
Hey, if you love it, let us know. If you hate it, we might still do it anyway, but you could let us know.
Definitely let us know what you guys think. We're always looking to have some more engagement and get you guys involved in what's going on with our content here.
Yeah. And then, number 3, like you, I had Light Yagami. We were talking about it with you.
So why did you pick Light for you?
Okay. So for me, influentially, when I was younger, and I mean in middle school, guys, I'm not very old. I hope.
Neither of us are very old. I said I had a tube TV, but that's not that long ago when you really think about it.
No, it isn't, and I can still go buy them and find them. I know where to buy them.
And also, we were not one of those families that was like, as soon as LEDs came out, we got one.
No, me neither. We still had our like 3-component cable, big bulb TVs.
Oh yeah.
That also probably had a VHS player like attached to or built into.
See, that was fancy.
Yeah, I know, that was fancy. That was crazy.
All right, so Light Yagami.
Light Yagami, everybody. My time frame for watching anime fell around when this show was first being released. And the buzz about this show got tons of people murmuring for anime. And anime back while I was in middle school was not that big. Like, you had your niche, you knew your few people that watched Toonami, that were all about these shows that were releasing. But it was one of the first shows that, if you looked at it now, like 10 years later, still is being talked about by fans after fans after fans. That's insane. And Light Yagami being the protagonist, and everyone's always talking about him.
Well,
And
see,
L. And
it
L.
was the debate for me with being like, well, like every president that's on Mount Rushmore is depicted as good in some way, shape, or form for specific reasons. And looking at that is why I said, well, Light really does make no sense. Like L would make more sense, but Light is such an important character, I think, in anime to showcase the fact that we can have a MC being a villain.
So, you want to know what my sub pick for this spot was?
What's that?
It was also maybe going to be Lelouch Lamperouge from Code Geass.
I never saw.
So, in the same stylistic sense of what you were just saying, is that Light is good intentioned, but overall a bad person, overall a bad guy. And the same thing goes with Lelouch. His, like the path of good is paved with, like, good intentions is paved with, like, bad.
Right, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah, exactly. So he did so many questionable things also. So I was like, but influentially, it's gotta go to like Death Note, Light Yagami.
Yeah,
still talked about to this day.
It's one of those things where people still look at that and go, well, Light, because like I said, it's an antagonist that's a main character. You don't see that a lot in anime, and I think it was eye-opening for a lot of people that anime isn't just shonen,
and it isn't all about power of goodness. It was
it's not just all about the power of goodness. It's like, oh, we can have a mystery anime. We can have an anime that's based on this guy doing crazy messed up stuff, and because he's smart, and just going based on that notion and being like, okay, well,
talk also about another anime.
Anime is a lot more than just
talk about another anime that would be amazing to rewatch, talk about on this pod would be that.
100%.
Just like that would be really fun.
I'd be down with that. I mean, we could definitely at bare minimum have a segment or at least a full filler episode about Death Note, because I'd have a lot to say about it, because it's in my top 10.
I've been meaning to rewatch, so I can rewatch and take notes and come back hard with a lot of questions.
Well, I'd be all about it if you want to do that. Also, let us know. Do you want to see us cover Death Note in a filler episode?
And my number 4, my biggest cop out. To see this one, like I
just whipped my head around towards Andrew,
thinking, and I could not come up with a number 4 of like the most influential character. And the only thing that I could think of was the big 3.
What?
AKA Naruto, Ichigo, and Luffy.
Yeah.
I could not pick between the 3 of them.
You can't have all 3 of their faces.
They are all 3.
Nope.
On my board.
Absolutely not.
The big 3. The biggest some of the most influential characters.
Yeah, but they could
during
have been
an whole era was these 3.
Yeah, but they could have been literally the first 3 faces on Mount Rushmore at that point.
In my mind.
You can't have 3.
In my mind, they are a package deal.
You're cheating. You're absolutely cheating. That is like that's more than a cop out.
Oh, I told you right up front it was a cop out.
You put the whole police department out.
It's like it is too hard to decide between those 3.
Let me tell you
was
why.
More influential.
Between those 3, I chose Luffy.
And you have to explain to me how you came to that.
Well,
but you also have Naruto on your list.
Yeah.
So you left Ichigo out in the cold.
I did.
Sadness.
But I feel like I don't know. I feel like the others deserved the spot. versus Ichigo. I had Spike from Cowboy Bebop and Light Yagami, and those are because of the different showcasing of what anime could be. And same thing with Cowboy Bebop is showing people that it's not just shonen. All animes don't have happy endings. You can have tragedies in anime too. And that was such a powerful thing, and that's why the reason I think that the anime is so popular is that it's one of the few or one of the first that I'm aware of anime tragedies. Because it didn't end well. And, that's something that we could definitely get into at a later date, but it was such a beautiful show for me that I feel like he deserved a lot more than Ichigo. And while I loved Bleach, like nothing will ever take away those late nights of watching way too many episodes and being like, how do I get a Bankai?
Yeah.
Who when they were a kid and was watching Bleach didn't want to pick up a sword and swing it, just like every kid who watches Star Wars and gets a lightsaber or a flashlight. Like I still do that.
I'm gonna attack the bad guys.
Yeah.
Tight.
Right? No, I'm gonna get those.
Yeah.
Those. Oh God, what are they called? It's been so long since I watched Bleach. The monsters in Bleach. What are they called? The bad guys.
Hollows.
Hollows. Yes, thank you. Oh my! I can't believe I forgot that.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, years have gone by.
Yeah, very true.
And if you're not watching,
my God,
the
I kind of want
current
to
releasings for Bleach, yeah.
I kind of want to rewatch Bleach now.
And hey, maybe we can
But
rewatch that on the show.
The reason being that I chose Naruto and Luffy over him was because Naruto for me was much more influential, and as a much more popular and widespread anime that was able to spread a little bit of Japanese culture to people. Where I don't think Bleach did really any of that. I don't think it was very culturally significant and stuff like that, other than like, oh yeah, they're kimonos. When they die, you wear a kimono now. Yeah, I feel like there was just a lot more showcasing of that in Naruto, which is like based on the idea that like of the study that they did of Japan. I'm not sure if it was before the World War or not. But it was like the idea that Japan could be such a like hard and soft country at the same time. Like they're so emotional on that level. Or so emotionally in touch on that level, and at the same time can be so like offensive and determined in that. And that's something that I feel as though Naruto does showcase because of those warring villages and stuff like that. It reminds me of like, going back to like the Sengoku Jidai, like the warring state spirit of Japan and stuff like that. And personally, Naruto made me more interested in the Japanese culture.
And then I guess, why would you pick Luffy?
Luffy is because it's one of the silliest shonens ever.
It might just be the silliest shonen ever.
I mean, 100%. But at the same time, still has those moments that make you sad. In sad episodes, I still laugh.
There's always a little nugget of comedy for anyone not watching One
It's
Piece.
quite literally still going.
Yeah, to this day.
It's been going since, 93? Or 92? Like a year or two before I was born. Or the year I was born, whatever it is. And it's still running today. And it's such a, like, eye-opening and influential anime as a whole. It's so iconic, And it's the same thing can be said about Mount Rushmore if you're, like, an American citizen. You're gonna know who one of those people on there is. And Luffy is not mistakable at all. But let me tell you my actual list for relating them to the president, because
Please do.
Because that was just off the top of my head.
No, that's fine. I'm glad you took it another step than I did.
That list I came up with within the 5 minutes that you texted me. I was like, okay, off the top of my head, what are the ones that I would put up there? And that was Naruto, Spike, Luffy, Light Yagami. So for my pick for George Washington, Monkey D. Garp, Luffy's uncle, because he would be the only anime character
That's amazing.
that would he would take place in a war. He would care about the people under him. He would be crazy enough to cross the Delaware in winter. With a smile on his face, he'd do it, and he already kind of has donkey teeth. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're not. No, you're pretty on the money with it.
But I feel like he's even though he's not looked at like that, George Washington is a father figure in American history, and Garp is a father figure in One Piece history. So I felt like that matched up really well.
Okay.
And looking back as looking at him like a father figure, looking at him as an admiral, someone who's capable of being in war and leading people with his compassion. I felt as though that fit Garp really well. My pick for Thomas Jefferson, which maybe this is a little unfounded because Jefferson was a writer, and I was thinking Thomas Edison.
Okay.
So I put Senku from Dr. Stone.
I had a feeling you were going to. And in the second you said that, I went, this guy's going to say Senku. He's going to say Senku.
But it's very misplaced now that I've thought about it a little bit more.
I mean, I would love to see that guy's leak head up there. Like, you kidding me? That'd be the funniest shit ever.
Right? And then for Theodore Roosevelt, my favorite president, by the way, if you didn't know, Theodore Roosevelt is supposedly literally had a fight club. Like an actual fight club. He would fight people in the basement of the White House. Like, how fucking awesome is that? The teddy bear got named after him because he wouldn't kill a bear that was scared up a tree. He was like, this isn't what this is. He did a lot for wildlife conservation and everything like that. So, moving along with that train of thought, certifiable badass, working on, basically expanding our roots and making sure that we're doing good things for our people and for our environment. I have Levi from Attack on Titan.
Okay.
Because, same thing, certifiable badass.
Yeah.
You can't deny that about Levi.
You cannot.
You have, like I said, certifiable badass. He would definitely have a fight club if there weren't Titans.
I mean, he's had to learn hand-to-hand sparring somehow.
Right? And then going into he's part of the expeditionary force, so he goes out and tries to expand that territory, and everything like that, and hunts these things, and you have such expansive story arcs about him that I feel like it's very fitting for him to be a TDR figure.
Okay, yeah.
And for Abraham Lincoln, I have a feeling you're really gonna like this one.
Lay it on me.
Makarov Driar from Fairy Tail.
I love Fairy Tail.
The guild master in Fairy Tail that would do anything for the people underneath him, aka his family. And he did, in fact, go to somewhat of a civil war in order to make that happen for them.
He did.
So I feel like it's very fitting that he takes on that Abraham Lincoln-esque figure there and being like, I'll do anything for individual rights.
Basically. I also really like the polar opposite heights differential.
Yeah.
If you were to think about it like that.
100%. Put them next to each other. They're just massive figures standing next to Makarov. Okay, Makarov can fly. It'll be fine.
He can fly, and then he gets really big with his power.
Yeah, he can just grow. It works. But I feel like that was really fitting because, like I said, he kind of did go to a little bit of a civil war with fighting the other guilds and stuff like that, and just doing anything for the people underneath him and stuff like that, which I feel like is very fitting for Abraham Lincoln, the president who freed the slaves and had this participated in the Civil War and everything like that. So,
jeez,
I feel like it matches up well, right?
Yeah, no, it does. I really enjoyed that. I didn't even do that specific down.
Oh, which one do you not
history.
agree with? Because I know you.
No, I agree with all of them. the Senku one is, I think, by far the funniest.
Because it makes no sense. I didn't think about it. I should have. I should have thought more into like who's a writer in anime, but also I can't think of any of that. Jiraiya.
Yeah, you could say Jiraiya.
Jiraiya could fit for that because Jiraiya was actually also really influential with all of his writings throughout Naruto.
Yeah,
and he changed a lot of people's lives, which does fit with Jefferson, with writing the Constitution.
I'll let you amend if you want to, but if you want to stick with that, you stick to your guns. Say Senku, by all means.
Well, I don't want to stick to my guns because I don't have real reasoning for it. Because
okay,
I was thinking of an inventor, not a writer.
Live action edit. Go right ahead.
Well, because like I said, as soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, oh, I'm thinking of the wrong person. So yeah, I think Jiraiya is much more fitting than Senku.
Okay.
I feel like it would also look better.
Okay, I mean, who?
On a Mount Rushmore.
By all means, Jiraiya's being tacked in, guys.
That's right. We can remove Senku, which I am a little bit upset about because I just love Dr. Stone.
No, it is the great show.
But he really doesn't fit there at all. Like, the only thing he wrote was the thing that Albert Einstein already did. Like, I've seen him draw a bunch of diagrams, haven't seen him write anything.
That's great. That's amazing.
But Jiraiya definitely makes a lot more sense.
So, do you think we have time for the other list? Or should we save it for maybe the start of the next?
I absolutely think we should save it because we are well over our normal length of filler episode time. But thank you so much for coming and listening along with us.
I hope you enjoyed that little tidbit there.
I hope you enjoyed every little bit.
Yeah, that was really fun, and I'm glad we both took it in a different way.
Absolutely. I mean, that was a blast for me. I'd be really excited to do more of that. Thank you so much for watching. We hope to see you in the next episode. Next episode, we're going to be covering Demon Slayer episode... Oh god, where are we up to? 4 and 5? Or
No. We are on, I believe, 6 and 7?
Find out in the next episode.
I'll cut that, yeah.
Of Kyou no Anime. Like... I like leaving it off on find out in the next episode of Kyou no Anime. Bum bum bum. Until next time, enjoy watching.